Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Prado Chief from Kilo 23. I am finally over my awful cold several weeks later, and I am continuing my review of my full collection. We're just about done here. I'm kind of getting down to the more generic guns that most people's collections tend to have. Right now, it's going to be M4s. I have quite a few M4s. Not as many as I used to have. I've scaled down on my collection a little bit over the years, and it's gone back and forth between having mainly M4s down to having a few M4s and back to kind of about a third M4s now. So we're kind of going back and forth. But I've got five we're going to check out today. The first is something I've had for a little while now. It's the Echo One Genesis M4. Now this thing, it's lightweight. It's all externally plastic, or at least it was. And I've still got the original stuff for it, so it's a pretty cool little gun, surprisingly. I've done some work to it externally, as you can tell. Originally it had the standard plastic handguard on it, but like the buffer tube is plastic, the stock is plastic, of course. I ended up replacing the pistol grip because actually the screw holes started to strip out on me, so I put something in there with a metal screw hole. I think this is like an APS pistol grip, and it actually fits rather well. Body's all kind of a really light plastic, actually, kind of like the plastic DBoys style body you might get. I ended up putting I don't even know what brand rail this is. I got it in like a Boneyard box from Jag a while back. And this is a brass, or not a brass, chrome barrel I got from a China site a while back for a review. And internally, this thing is really robust, actually. The gearbox is pretty thick. The tuning needed some help, of course. A lot of factory China guns do. But after getting it tuned, this thing shot like 430 feet per second, and it ranged over 200 feet. When you run threes in it, you can really reach out and touch people. It was a mean gun. And so when I ran this thing, it being a sub $200 gun stock, you had to run an 11.1 LiPo to get any rate of fire out of it. If you ran a 7.4 on it, you got like 9 rounds a second. It was it wasn't that fun. So when I got this originally, I plugged an 11.1 in, didn't even tune it, and just went out in the field and ran it. And it was a mean gun. It was actually surprising. So I primarily use it as a loner gun, and it shoots great. I ended up putting a 603 Mad Bull barrel in it, and the groupings are really tight. And for a beginner gun, this really makes people happy to go try. They're able to get kills out there really nicely with it. And it's super lightweight, and people can go afford these. Under 200 bucks, comes with a battery out of the box, and they work. So, cool little loner gun. Next up is my Echo One Knights SR16. I've had this a little less time. I got this, I think, directly after the Genesis from Jag, and it's definitely improvement. It's got a very similar gearbox. It's not quite as robust, but most of the internals are almost identical. I do like having the free float rail on it. It's, I believe, the 13-inch version. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, it looks about 13 inches. And then the 14-inch barrel. It runs super well. It's much more comfortable to me than the Genesis M4, and it does come with flip-up sights, where the original Genesis gun came with the carry handle and the standard fixed triangle front sight. Definite improvement. It does have a metal buffer tube. That was a big thing for me because the other one felt a little creaky with that plastic buffer tube. And this shoots just as well. You plug an 11.1 LiPo into it, and you get out there 200 plus feet with threes, and it's a mean gun. I really enjoy running these. I'm probably gonna run it more, actually. I don't really run these a whole lot because I tend to run my metal guns. I like the realism, but how light it is, I can take this out for a full day or multi-day skirmish, and it never gets heavy, and it continually performs, and it really outranges a lot of upgraded guns even. So this is one of those fun guns that it's hard to get rid of. Now, this is a gun. Yes, it's an airsoft gun, I know, right? It started as a DBoys M4, and it really hasn't changed a whole lot from that. It was a DBoys M4S system. I put a little bit of, not really any money into it practically, just some trades mainly. It's a Mad Bull Troy rail, put the original DBoys barrel in it. TG rail covers, which I really like. They're comfy and they look cool. And it's a fake, what is it, the Magpul angled grip. It's the replica you can get from China. Put a different pistol grip on it. Dot sight laying around. Still needs a flash hider. I just haven't taken the time to get one for it yet, or the money. and found a stock for it. Actually, it came with a stock, I forgot. Anyway, I put a Hulk fed in here. I did some basic tuning. I put a different hop-up chamber in it because the original wasn't that great. And a new bucking, and it shoots great. It's a little soft. It's like 330 feet per second. I could probably drop a heftier spring in it and run a little bit better, of course. But the range is not bad. The accuracy is decent. It sounds mean. It's just a little bit of gear noise, but it's that kind of soft hum gear noise, not the screechy gear noise, if you know what I'm talking about, where it just sounds mean to shoot. And it's got a nice pop to it because there's a little extra air from the cylinder volume. And it's a mean little gun. I ended up paying like $20 for the original S system. Had a metal body and everything, just needed to be reassembled. And it was a heck of a deal. 20 bucks was great for this thing. A little bit of work, a little bit of time, still working on it. It's one of those guns I wouldn't care if I sold it just because it's a project gun and I really haven't put any money into it hardly except the 20 bucks to start with. So yeah, fun gun. Not a ton of work into it. It's got a MOSFET in it, so I can run an 11.1 on it. It gets like 22, 23 a second on an 11.1 because I believe I put a KWA motor in it. I don't recall offhand, but it's not bad. Now we're getting into the guns that I plan to run at the next Milsim West event later this month. So today is, what it is today, the 11th or 12th or something. I don't even recall. It's Monday, whatever. This was my Echo 1, is my Echo 1 Platinum Edition, so it's basically a VSC OEM'd gun. This is a fun review gun that Jag let me build, Brian from Echo 1, and it's got almost all the original parts in there that I got from that upgrade set, except the piston, because if you look a while back, I had some issues with the piston, so I just put a G&G stock piston in it. And I can still run an 11.1 LiPo without an issue. This thing is a beast. 11.1 gets 25 a second on it. I put a slightly softer spring in it. Originally I had a Modify 120 spring in it and it shot like 430 with twos, which was really hot for most fields, or at least a little too hot. So I scaled it back to about 380, 390, somewhere in there roughly. And it's been shooting really fast to get about 26, 27 a second with an 11.1 LiPo. Milsim West, you don't really want to shoot full auto to conserve ammo, of course. But semi-auto, this thing should be great. Internals are almost completely swapped out, minus like the gearbox shell. Has a basic MOSFET in it, no active braking, no control or anything like that. Has one of the nicer Echo 1 torque motors. Really love the motor, very fast, doesn't heat up hardly. SHS 13.1 gears. What are they? The ceramic modified bearings, those are really smooth. I like those a lot. It's got like a 110-ish spring in it. Put a slightly larger volume cylinder in there so I could keep the power down because I was getting like 390 to 400 because it's great air seal on this guy. I put a Mad Bull blue bucking in there, I believe. A new barrel is the Mad Bull 603 steel, if I'm not mistaken. And then I also have a Modify hop-up chamber in here, and I really like that. Lots of little gizmos and gadgets in there to give you a nice, really consistent lock on the hop. And, of course, the externals. Battle Axe stock, Troy rail, Mad Bull, chrome outer barrel, and a nice Mad Bull flashlighter on there. And I recently actually picked up this flashlight. Dang. Wind's picking up out there. It's throwing crap around on my deck. Anyway, I picked this up from Evike a couple weeks ago for the First Strike event in Oregon. Thank God for a flashlight out there. I really needed that. But I ended up just taking some zip ties and putting it on this gun. So I'm going to use this as my night gun. This is just a basic NC Star red, green, blue dot optic. I got it a long time ago when I worked at Airsplat. Yeah, so this is going to be my night gun at Milsim West. Shoots nice in 380, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's move on to my last gun in my collection. All right, this is the last gun in my collection of M4s. This started as a King Arms M4. Got it at Ed Surplus, actually in Linwood, Washington, about 20 minutes from here. And they got a lot of the guns that Surplus had in Woodinville when they closed. So they basically were sitting in the back of their little warehouse they have there. And they had a lot of airsoft stuff sitting out in their shelves, but it wasn't everything. They hadn't gone through everything. They just didn't have the time, I guess. And so I asked, hey, do you guys have anything else? They're like, yeah, we got a bunch of stuff sitting in the warehouse, you know, go check it out. So they had a King Arms M4 back there, brand new, just didn't have part of the wall charger it came with, and 50 bucks. Really good deal. Anyway, I did a little bit of tuning on it. It doesn't have a ton of work internally, but it shoots fantastically well. Internally, has one of the Spectre MOSFETs. It's the Mark 1. The Mark 2 I have in my MP5 behind me. Stock, this is actually an E&L stock because I took it off my E&L AK that I recently built. Wired to Deans, of course. Has a kind of Franken G&G torque motor in there. I ended up putting a different end bell on it because the original one of the pins broke, so I just had to swap it out. Very quiet. I don't even know what pinion gear it had. I think I grabbed a random one out of the parts bin. The gearbox, I put some SHS 7mm bushings in. The original bearings in there, they're bearings, so they break eventually. I was running it pretty hot originally, but I tuned this down from Milsim West. It's hitting about 393 to 395, just about every shot, somewhere in that little margin there. It's got like a 1 to 2 FPS deviation every shot, so I'm really happy with it. Put a new G&G piston head on there because the original King Arms piston head really wasn't sealing that well, and no matter what O-ring I tried, it didn't seem to want to flare open the O-ring too much. So that helped a little bit. Still using the original King Arms piston because it's actually not bad. Put a bearing spring guide in here, new spring to drop the FPS down, of course, and Classic Army, excuse me, Classic Army gears. Believe it or not, Classic Army gears are very quiet with G&G motors. Who knew? The entire inner barrel assembly is actually from Hop Systems. Cool little website. I did a review from a while ago. It's still waiting to be published, so I don't know when they'll want me to publish that review, but I did it back in like December. And it's been R-hopped, so the range and the accuracy and the speed are very, very good. Milsim West probably be running Elite Force 3.2s, which should shoot really nicely in this. I'm hoping for a really nice range out of it. And it's got a nice, quick pop response. And it's just a very fantastic pop sound this thing makes with that R-hop. It's using I believe an Echo 1 metal hop-up chamber. I want to say Echo 1 bucking and a ZCI 602, sorry. ZCI 602 407mm barrel, which goes to the end of the Mad Bull 16-inch barrel I have in here. And the rail is kind of a cheap China rail. Got it off another gun I got from Ed Surplus. And then some rail covers and a ×3 or 4, I really don't know, optic. Got this off a buddy in a trade. So I am super stoked to run this as my primary out there as my day gun. And of course I'll run the other, my Echo 1 as my night gun. So this should be fun. Really looking forward to running this out there. I hope it's got some decent range because out in Centerville, Washington for Milsim West, you need guns with range because 75% of everything out there is open space. So should be a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Prodigy from Kilo 23. I've got a few guns left. I might do one more video, but generally I've covered probably 95% of what's in my collection. I do have a couple of pistols. I guess I could talk about those in another video. But for now, this is just about everything. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.